Greetings. In this video, we are going to talk about integer, float, string, boolean, list, tuple, set, and dictionary casting. Typecasting is the process of converting a variable from one data or object type to another. Python supports several built-in data types like integers, floats, strings, booleans, lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries, among others. As discussed in our introduction to Python programming, which is the first video I recorded explaining data types, each of these data types has its own set of functions that can be used for typecasting. Typecasting is a powerful feature of Python programming that can be used to manipulate data more efficiently and effectively. We shall often use the type function to get the data or object type of different values. The argument, that is the value to be converted, is put into the parentheses. We shall notice that it will return a class type unto which a data type or object type belongs to. Hence the argument that in Python there are no data types, but there exist object types where every data value belongs to a class. We shall dig deeper into this. For the sake of simplification, we shall use data type or object type interchangeably in this video, but this will be the last video where I will refer to data as in data types, but we shall use object types. The first casting we want to talk about is integer casting. We are saying this converts a string or float or boolean to an integer, but of course the string should have a number and not text, because text cannot be converted to an integer. It is done using the int function, where the argument, that is the value to be converted, is put into the parentheses. Let's write our program. We shall use the string num, which we shall assign to 10. We want to convert this some other data types, then we will discuss about it. Here we have written our code type before conversion, then we are using the type function to which we are passing string num as an argument. We want to determine the data type of string num. As you can see, the type before conversion is a class string. When you use n value in quotes, it is of object type string. Now we are using the int function to convert the string num to an integer. Now we want to see what will be the type after conversion. After conversion, it is now of class integer, which means the string value 10 in quotes has now been converted to another object type, which is integer. So this is our string value which we are printing as an integer. Now we want to see the integer value of the Boolean true. So we are passing true to an int function to see whether it's going to be converted to an integer. The integer value of true is 1. The integer value of false is 0. Now we want to see what will happen to a float, for example 2.5. Now, the float value, when converted to an integer, becomes just a 2. The decimal part is removed. So this makes it very important that, as you shall see, we are going to be fetching values from the console. So you have to know the type of data that you expect. If you want an integer, you will need to cast using an int. If you want a float, you need to cast using a float. Enough about this. We now need to talk about float casting. Now we are saying we want to convert a value to a float. We'll use the float function to do the explicit conversion. It returns a float, that is a value with a decimal point. The argument shall be the value which we want to convert to a float, which we shall pass to the float function. We shall use a string num which is equals to 10,5 this time. Now we want to see its type before conversion. Now you can see that the type before conversion is still an str, which means it's a string value. We should only pass values which can be converted to a string to the float function. If it can't be casted like a string with text, then you see an error. For example, you see, we are getting an error here that the value could not convert string to a float because it is text. Therefore, text cannot be converted to a float, neither can it be converted to an integer. Now we want to convert our string with a float to a float data or object type. Let's see, after converting to float, what becomes the object type. Now the object, okay, I have to comment this out, otherwise it won't go to the next line because of that error. It's Python interprets line by line and stops when an error is found. So this is the type after conversion. You can see that it is a float class. Let's convert some other data types to floats. For example, a 3 to a float. Now you can see that the 3 is an integer, but it's being converted to a float with a 3.0. The decimal there representing that it's now a float. What about a Boolean to a float? we are passing a Boolean value false to the float function. It's becoming 0.0. So that is float conversions or casting. Now let's look at the next type of casting, which is the string casting. String casting is when we are converting a value to a string. The value passed to the str function is converted to a string. Let's see the data type of this number before casting. It should be a class integer. We are using the str function to convert our num to a string. Let's see the type after conversion. You can see now it's a string class. Now we want to just print the value. Let's convert some other data types like floats to strings and Boolean to strings. It's unfortunate that a string, when it's printed, you can't tell whether it's a string or it's a float, but this 25.6 is a float. Even if you convert a Boolean true to a string, it just remains true, but as a string, not as a Boolean. Now let's look at Boolean casting, where values are converted to true or false. Okay, we shall start with the number 1. Number 1, which is equal to 1. We want to see its type before conversion. Its type before conversion is an integer. Now let's convert it to a Boolean using the bool function. Right, you have to note that any non-empty string, array, list, dictionary, and any non-zero value is converted to a true. Anything else is converted to a false. And the value num1 we want to convert to Boolean is passed to the bool function. Now let's see the type after conversion. It is now a class bool. It has been converted to a Boolean. Okay, let's see what happens to a 0. And let's see what will happen. An empty list. So as you can see there, a non-empty tuple is a true because it's not empty. An empty list is a false. So this is our Boolean casting. Having talked about Boolean casting, we now have to talk about list casting. List casting is used to convert any iterable data type to a list using the list function. An iterable data type is a data type with elements which are in a sequence like strings, tuples, and we have to pass the data to the list function. To get the data type of that string before it is casted, we need to use the type function. And you can see that hello before conversion was a string. Now let's convert it to a list. When we use the list function, it's a list constructor that we are calling. Now let's print the list after conversion. You can see that after it's converted, what we are getting is a type list, and this is the value. This is the list that was created by the list function from the hello string. In other words, the list is going to separate the elements of the string, each of them being an element of the list string. Let's look at how we can convert a set to a list. We are passing our set 1698, converting it to a list. Let's see. So this is our set, and this is the list. What will happen to a tuple? The same applies to a tuple. We just need to pass it and see how things change. The tuple is in our parentheses. So this is 1698 as a tuple, but this is the result as a list. Okay, what happens to a dictionary? You can see that when we pass a dictionary to a list function, what is returned is a list of the keys A, B, C. The values are not returned by the list function. So this is all we have to talk about when it comes to list casting. The next one is tuple casting. This is when we convert any iterable data to a tuple using the tuple function. We pass the data or the value to the tuple function and it returns the tuple. Strings are converted to a tuple of individual string values and it returns the tuple of string elements. Let's see how it's going to go. We already have our list hello, which we want to pass to a tuple function. We saw that it is a string, but let's first have the tuple string. Right, after the conversion, you can see that the string becomes a class tuple and the individual elements become elements of a tuple with our parentheses representing a tuple. Okay, what is going to happen if we pass a list to a tuple? So you can see now that this list is now converted to a tuple. What will happen if we convert a set to a tuple? Now, to convert a set of numbers to a tuple, we use the tuple function and we can get a set of numbers converted to our tuple. 8169 is now a tuple with parentheses. The same happened when you convert a data dictionary to a tuple. What you get are the keys. It's just a tuple of the dictionary keys. Now we want to convert our hello from a string to a set using the set function. So we type set from string, then we type our conversion here. But let's see, the interesting part is that hello is a string with double L's, but what we get is just a single L because a set doesn't have duplicates. Now I want you to watch the order of the hello. It can change. Now you can see E is now coming first, yet before this we had L first, because in a set elements don't have a permanent position. That is why it is a non-ordered type of object. Right, let's look at the following conversions which we want to do. You can look as well as a set of numbers. We already have our list of numbers, so we want to convert that to set. And let's see what we get. Is just from square brackets to curly brackets to represent that conversion has taken place. What about a tuple to a set? We have our tuple string here which we created, so we want to use that for our conversion. We don't need to first store the values after the conversions because we don't want to use them more than once. Rather, we just have to return the value on the fly. So this was our hello as a tuple. Now it's a set. So that is the effect of creating a set from a tuple. What about from a dictionary? Again, it will return a set of keys. So that is how we convert from a dictionary to a set. The last convention we have to do is for dictionaries. This is used to convert a list of key value pairs to a dictionary using the dict function. The argument, that is the value to be converted, is put in the parentheses. Any iterable in another iterable may be used to create a dictionary, with the first value as a key and the second value is the value. We are creating a list, but this is a list of tuples. So this being a list of tuples, it means we can pass them to a dictionary method to convert them to a dictionary. Just for you to see, with our list KV, let's see the data type before conversion. Because you may say, but is it a list? Are those tuples? Okay, these are tuples in a list. So at the end of the day, it is a list, because the outside constructor of our data type is square brackets. So this is a list. As I said, though the list has tuples in it. Now we want to convert this to a dictionary. So we have to pass the list key values to the function dict, which converts it to a dictionary. As you can see, now the type is a dictionary. Let's look at what is inside. The key is coming from the first value in our inner tuple, and the value is coming from 1, which is the second component of our inner tuple. Then the next key is coming from the next tuple first value. The value is coming from the next tuple second value. So this is how we create a dictionary from a list. But all you need is to have a nested iterable where you can get the keys and the value. Let's look at how we can have a dictionary from a tuple. So we have a tuple here, which is a tuple of lists. Now we want to convert this to a dictionary. Let's see what we get. That is the dictionary. The keys come from the first element of the inner list, and the values come from the second element of every inner list. So this is how we do typecasting in Python. I hope you enjoyed this video. Quite a long video, but with lots of information. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe. Ring the notification bell so that you can get a notification when we release the next video. Until we meet again, stay well.